Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up! Up your way, up your way, up your way, up your way! This is Mr. Sinner Love Student, your voice of choice. Today we're gonna be talking about the movie Do the Right Thing. We're gonna be mainly break it down into 4 sections: film style, editing, cinematography, and narrative. Let's begin! The movie Do the Right Thing is an American comedy drama film that directed, produced, and written by Spike Lee, the one of the most famous filmmakers in 20th century. The film has its unique taste to set up the theme, color, and iconic cinematography styles that film students can find it in their textbooks nowadays. Furthermore, the film has a well-written story that has been adding its value and creating remarkable impacts towards both creativity and social perspectives. The narrative has set an obvious task that targeting some specific social and cultural issue, such as inequality and racism. Nevertheless, the true value behind the surface of another black film of racism justice fighter, its story has a much deeper conversation that not only meant to be a self-reflection of the filmmaker himself, but a message and a movement that an American citizen wants to express with his heart. The narrative structure is basically a group drama that painting images of interesting hyper neighborhood in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn. Each individual in the community has their own struggles, daily carrying history and stories. They came from varied backgrounds and races, and the magic is that those brilliant, ambitious people are all gathered together in this small but complex living area. There are so many characters appeared in the movie. Each of them has strong symbolic characteristics, and these people are somewhere linked to each other, which made this environment much more realistic and livable. In the hottest day of the year, everyone's bigotry seems to be lighting up. It is exhausting and violent. One spark of fire produces an explosion that out of anyone's control. Beside a lot of symbolic characters' individual conflicts, such as Sweet Dick Willie and his friends, the pizza shop Italian brothers, there is a side of characters that play the main role to carry out the core concept of the story, which is the comparison between the mayor and Mookie. Let's begin with the mayor. There are two main events that happen to this character. The first one is the relation between the mayor and the mother's sister. They had a long history not getting along very well more than a decade, and mainly it is because mother's sister's hurtful memory and experience of her ex-husband. But in this role, the action that the mayor gives is always opens up and tries to make conversations and build up a bridge to overcome the harshness and conflicts. He explains himself openly and respectfully and made moves to deliver his kindness and peaceful intentions. He put himself into a place to recover a wound which may objectively just be mother-sister's own problems. The second event is the mayor risked his own life to save Eddie the kid from a car accident. Through the conversation, when the mother comes in, it clearly shows the different mindset that the mayor has at the moment. He says, "I saved 2 lives," and tries to comfort the mom from punishing a kid that already been freaked out from a dangerous situation. The mayor cares about the kid's life and well-being, even though he risks his life but not receiving any sincere gratitude. And at the same time, he still respects the mom's authority to discipline her own children. He knows the boundary and the sequence when he is not being understood or rightly treated. When we look at Mookie, He seems doing a decent job compared to a lot of his neighbors and friends. He has a job, dresses properly, good cooperating with the other people around him, and doesn't like curse words from his kid's mom. He has a good reputation at the block. When he's crossing the street, people shout out to him like, "Hey Mookie, hey Mook," while the other young kids are bullying the mayor by his age and outlooks. He instigates Vito to fight back his brother like a man whose ways adjust his heart. He complains to his girlfriend when he's cursing in front of the kid, like a father with good upbringing. He wants his wages like he deserves to be paid by his hard labor. He stands up to Sal to protect his sister like a caring big brother. He threw the bin to break out the window of the pizza shop like a justice revenger to his dead friend. He lights up the raging violence like a hero of his people. Fight the power like a man with freedom. At the end, when Smiley sets fire and burns down the pizza shop, he puts the picture of Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm on the wall. It is ironic yet powerful. The great spirit of great pioneers burns into ashes, not by the fire of the shop, but the fire of the violent people. Great said at the end of the movie from Dr. King, "Violence only tears us down, but not building conversations. It is intelligent to fight back, but blind madness is never equal to intelligence. The racism is not from people's skins, but comes from a heart that the man who believes he has the right to force something to another individual. What is the right thing to do? Like early in the movie, the mayor told Mookie to do the right thing. But the fact is not a feeling. And Mookie, he believes he did the right thing."
The definition of doing the right thing is doing what is best for the greater or common good. Spike Lee's 1989 American comedy drama film Do the Right Thing uses a myriad of film style techniques to highlight racial inequality and injustices staining America. The unique style of the film and how the characters are able to meander with various wider angle shots is impressive and enhances the overall visual experience of the film. In this particular extract of the film, Lee utilises low camera shots to highlight the characters' aggressive, powerful and controlling nature. Another technique that is utilised at the 3:28-minute mark of this extract is through the main character Mookie and several other characters of different ethnicities we are introduced to throughout the streets of New York. The characters are expelling racially charged stereotypes at each other, having a go at each other's cultures with various racist remarks as they vent out their clear frustration. This indicates the racial tension of the time and that still exists today. The simmering anger and resentment boils over as the day progresses throughout the film. Lee utilises unique camera angles as it zooms in close to the characters' faces, with the camera symbolising us being the audience. Lee employs this technique to make it seem as if the characters are addressing us face to face. This allows the scene to be more intimate for the audience and even more confronting, as we listen to the sheer anger of the characters' voices as they spew racist remarks. There is a complete lack of regard or empathy for other cultures, and I believe Lee is attempting to have the audience be in the shoes of someone who is being racially vilified, and realise what it would be like in reality to have to deal with racism up close and personal. Lee's technique of having the characters break the fourth wall is another example of a film technique used ahead of his time, and why the film is seen as so groundbreaking and iconic. Lee also uses camera tilts throughout the film to skew reality for the audience, and we almost become dizzy trying to focus on the dialogue. The diegetic sound used by employing Radio Raheem's radio blasting "Fight the Power" is another symbolic motif. The song choice inferring Lee's belief in racial injustification being carried out by powerful entities such as the police must be fought against. The loud music also symbolises how to shake up the system of corrupt power. Black men must stand loud and proud in order to have their voices heard. Another film technique they utilise is the use of warm, vibrant colours such as yellow, red and orange with visual motifs, as it's an extremely hot day. Spike Lee even had heat lamps placed directly under the camera lens to cleverly produce wavy heat shimmers. This in turn leaves the audience feeling hot and bothered along with the characters, almost as if we are in an overheated daze. This is further exacerbated due to the costume design and overall mise-en-scène. The characters' sweat is noticeably dripping off their bodies throughout the film, and the audience reflects the characters as we feel more agonised as the day progresses. This articulates Spike Lee's position on racism. His position being, while racism is very challenging to talk about, it is incredibly necessary. He believes it is foundational in order to have understanding for other races, and so, as a society, we can all flourish together as a community. The film also highlights how characters who lack understanding of other cultures tend to act incredibly aggressive out of pure ignorance. Lee is highlighting how as human beings we are conditioned to fear what we don't understand, and makes his stance very clear on the lack of race education in America. He is essentially saying if educational standards on race don't change, America will remain a racist country. I personally completely understand but do not agree that Mookie did the right thing. I don't think the destruction of the pizza store and ensuing riot caused by Mookie throwing the bin through the window served any constructive purpose. On the other hand, the conversations Bugging Out tried to have with Sal and his son Pino about how they would feel more of a sense of community if they had some African American cultural icons photographed on the wall didn't seem to have any effect on Sal or the sons. The style in which Lee directed the riot scene felt like he was trying to visually indicate how reactive actions when it comes to racial wrongdoings will always be seen as a moral conundrum. It therefore raises another question I believe Lee is trying to ask of the audience. Can violence be solved with more violence? I also believe he was inspired by Malcolm X with that line of ideology.
Different camera angles are used in Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing to create movement, emphasis mood, and improve the overall visual experience of the film. Spike employed the following cinematography methods to create the groundbreaking film. The first one is low camera shots. The most basic approach to portray contrast between characters in cinematography is the placement of the camera. You shoot a character from above if you wish to show that he or she is a little weak. Shooting someone from below is a great way to demonstrate their power and dominance. This particular technique is used in Do the Right Thing when three main characters, Bugging Out, Radio Rahim, and Smiley, enter Salt's famous pizzeria. They demand that Salt, whose New York City restaurant is in a black neighborhood, modify his Wall of Fame to include notable black people rather than just solely Italian Americans, and the camera shot them from below, demonstrating their confidence and power. The second one is the high camera shots. Where the low camera shot expresses power, the high camera shot conveys insecurity. Spike shoots the restaurant owner from the above in the same scene that the gang approaches him, highlighting his fear and insecurity in the face of the black men who are challenging him. Then, Saul breaks the Radio Rahim boombox and screams racial slurs at the man, and it escalating tensions. Another cinematography technique used in the Do Right Thing is Dutch angles. It is a camera shot in which the lens is angled to one side. You can employ a Dutch angle shot, which is also known as a canted angle, oblique angle, or Dutch tilt, to push the audience out of their comfort zone, generate disorientation, and express chaos. But be careful not to overuse it, as it can take away its impact. Throughout the Do Right Thing, Spike Lee uses camera tilts to express tension and warp reality. Lastly, another technique is zoom. The camera movement adds a vitality to the scene. There aren't many static shots in the Do Right Thing. Characters move in and out of the frame as well as side to side. In one particular scene, Mookie and other characters are emitting a string of racial epithets, and the camera zoom in close as they list of numerous cliches about other cultures, highlighting racial tensions. However, Samuel L. Jackson's character, a Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn-based radio broadcaster, serves as the voice of reason at this point, as he is the only character who moves towards the camera rather than having the camera move towards him. In this scene, the camera represents the audience, demonstrating how the characters are directly addressing the audience, shattering the fourth wall and creating a more personal encounter.
Next, we will talk about the techniques in the Do the Right Thing. Firstly, about the editing. G-cuts and L-cuts. There are a lot of L-cut and G-cut applications in Do the Right Thing. At the beginning of the film, the sound appears before the picture. At the end of the film, the picture exists first and the sound exists finally. And about fade-out cuts, the purpose is the same as G-cuts and L-cuts. The effect is similar, mainly for the continue of the film plot and the submission scene. Spike Lee used a lot of editing techniques, mainly because the content of the film is compact and there are too many jump cuts. In order to the audience to get the plot completely, it needs a relaxed plot rhythm. Among the films directed by Spike Lee, smudge cuts is the most used, which may be the place where he is deeply loved or criticized the most. Similarly, in Do the Right Thing, smudge cuts have been used 3 times in just the first 10 minutes of the film. For the purpose of smudge cuts, some are for aesthetic purpose. For example, at 0:16:12, when there is no plot to pull the weight, it suddenly turns to the red background wall here and chat with 3 blacks. At 0:24:17:5 is the same purpose. They are going to show the tense of the screen effort, and some are to reflect the narrative technique. At 0:17:45, the play suddenly jumped to the pizza shop, where Moochie and his partners ate pizza and clashed with the boss. This explains the plot where Moochie went to the previous film. About cutting on action, the film used a lot of body language and rubbish. The black community was full of rubbish from beginning to end, so that later the contradiction of wanting to hang black photos in pizza shop intensified and physical conflict broke out. The pizza shop route is the best explanation for the editing technique in the film. It makes the plot more coherent and increases the intense and noise mood. Sound, background music. The film is full of black rap jazzy, especially the fight part. Directly throughout the film, it is definitively a black behavior against white WASP culture. Of course, all kinds of jazz music played by DJ Jackson of Black Radio is also very charming. Coincidentally, the film Green Book also used black rock and jazz as the main background music. Blacks and jazz have always been inseparable. Jazz is more like a racial symbol, representing the unyielding and fairness of blacks